All right, thank you. I had to just find my mute button. So, thank you, PROJILITY, for having me. I'm very happy and excited to be here. And thank you, everyone, for tuning in to hear what I've got to share. Hopefully, you'll learn a few things about the state of North Dakota's Project Online implementation. You can see here is a kind of fancy building. Unfortunately, I have not been in a kind of fancy building for a long time. This is what happens in my work environment sometimes lately. I'm sure you've all been here. When you can't be in your home office anymore, you take a step outside of the backyard. Anyway, like Sarah said, my name is Justin Data. Data is my real name. I did make it up so I could get this amazing job in government IT. But if you learn anything today, I hope you take away that my wife's name is Tara Data. So there's a real human out there named Tara Data. Anyway, this is me in project management for 23 years, had my PMP, done other things before I got to government, and have stuck with government for a long time. I've been in the PMO since 2005, and I've been heading up the PMO here at the state of North Dakota for around 6 years. And the last point, I can no longer tell if I work from home or if I live at work, as you can see from that picture. I'm going to start off telling you a little bit about North Dakota and NDIT. So our state government, we have a population of 762,000. We're the fourth smallest population of all 50 states. We are smaller than most metro areas. So yeah, pretty rural for the most part. We border Canada, and we are located at the geographical center of the continent. We are not to be confused with South Dakota, who is south of here and does not border Canada. Our state government includes the three branches of government: higher ed and elementary and secondary education. So we cover a lot of ground. We have just shy of 10,000 employees and a $15 billion budget. That's biennial, so that's for 2 years, and that includes all our funding, both state, local grants, federal grants, all that kind of stuff lumped into one giant bucket. I work for NDIT, North Dakota Information Technology. We are a technology agency. We are part of the executive branch. We report up to the governor through our CIO, and we are responsible for wide area network services for all state agencies, higher ed, county, city schools, and responsible for providing hosting. We do software development, BI, project management, all sorts of the typical stuff you would imagine would be part of an IT company that does a lot of stuff. So we have about 450 people on staff right now and a $213 million biennial budget. So let me tell you a little bit about NDIT, our project office, and our PPM history. And I'm not just going to tell you about our implementation with PROJILITY, but I'm going to go back in time and tell you about a couple of failed attempts we've had at this that gave us some good lessons learned. So when we got to the point where we were implementing our PPM solution with PROJILITY, we had a good foundation of how to get into that. So project management, we've had a PMO since 2005. We had 5 PMs. Now we have 16 plus various contract positions, depending on how much workload we have. We have various laws and standards relating to IT project management, such as you have to have a PMP in order to manage a major IT project. Any project over $500,000 that's IT has to have a project manager assigned. We have practices that are in standard and in law that we have to accommodate. So we attempted our first implementation of PPM, Project Portfolio Management System, in 2008. That failed. Now I know that's a long time ago when it comes to IT, but some of the lessons we learned are just timeless. So I'm going to share a couple of those. We attempted another in 2018 that also failed, and the third time is the charm. In 2019, going strong and getting stronger with Project Web App, aka Project Online. So quickly, here's our implementation timeline when we got to Project Web App. So you heard PROJILITY say they are on time and on budget, and I gotta agree with that because they said you're gonna have this schedule, and we stuck to it by the minute. So in April, we kicked off. We had our on-site, some analysis and design. We were done with that by the end of May. By the end of June, we had a build, and we validated that build, and then mid-July we were deployed and doing our final acceptance. Now, what did we get on that day? It got us to what we are calling a land and stand position. So a lot of consulting firms are using this term out there. I've heard it a lot. It's just, you get the tool, you get the implementation. All right, so we got Enterprise Project Web App. We had minimal customizations, just one workflow. We had 4 Power BI dashboards that were delivered based on the data in the system. And most importantly, we had enough training to be dangerous. And dangerous we were. So since that's been implemented, I'm not going to go through this step by step, but you can read it yourself. But I'm just going to key on some key things. So in the bottom left, it says scope has been focused on the project management office staff and some others. So what projects do we have in there? Okay, we've got a government that's got 56, 57 state agencies. It's got a judicial branch and a legislative branch, and it's got all these schools. That's not all the stuff we put in here. We're focusing on the projects, like I said before, the $500,000 mark that are managed by our project office. So, the 15 to 20 project managers that are working on those projects are what we're managing, plus some willing participants who wanted to use the system and get on there. So that's our initial scope. Since we've implemented some key things we've been doing, I think you're going to need to do if you are implementing such a system, is evangelizing your project tool, training and retraining, making sure people are on the same page with how they use it. You're going to find that as you get into this, implementation is the starting line, right? So there's a lot of work to get your implemented product into production, but as far as necessitating the culture change, the work change, the process change, that is day one. So expect the work to really get hard after your tool's in. And if you see when you get to the next 3 months that I have written there, when the writing says the CIO tells me how many projects I have in flight because he looks at the dashboards regularly, that's when things start getting good. Okay, when your executive team tells you about your project data that's on your dashboards without even having to ask you about it, you know you're doing something right. And we'll talk about that in my value statement later. So let's talk about key challenges. That's why everybody's here, right? You want to learn, what's the hard part and how do you get through it? So I'm going to go back in time to 2008 to start off. And we tried to put in a very well-known system at the time. We sought buy-in with 5 partner agencies, so 5 agencies were trying to do this together. Installed the tool, so 1 agency used it well, 4 struggled. The tool was very complex. The tool management was very cumbersome. We failed. We didn't even think about how much it cost to upkeep it outside of the licensing, the people cost, the consulting cost, the additional knowledge and training that you need beyond the basics. We failed to acknowledge the required culture change. We did none of that. So everybody got really tired, and our executive team, who was already kind of poorly bought into it in the first place, decided this isn't worth it. Nobody's getting value at it, and all you're doing is complaining to us. So it got canceled. What did we learn? We learned that managing a PPM system is work, right? So someone or some people need the dedication to do it. I think, we get excited like, oh, we got a tool, all our problems are solved. No, the tool is the starting line. Don't forget it's the starting line. There's a lot of work to do after that. If your partners aren't unified in their vision for the system, it won't be used in a uniform fashion. So one of the beautiful things about a PPM system is that you can get a lot of projects managed and a lot of project managers managing their work in a similar fashion. If you're not doing that, what's the point? My opinion. Anyway, if the tech stack is completely new or outside of your organization's current capabilities, it will be difficult to feed. Okay, there's technology risk. If no one knows how to use that technology stack, they're gonna have to learn it. And that takes time, it takes money, it takes effort, it takes endurance, all that stuff. And keeping the systems lights on costs real time and real money. And if you can't show the value based on the time and money you're putting into it, you're canceled. So that one was done. Then we went away for a long time and looked at our wounds. It was very painful, it was very disheartening, we were extremely deflated. And we went to the good old fashioned, let's just throw some Excel sheets into a folder. We'll throw our Microsoft project files into a folder. And then SharePoint came along and we started doing better collaboration things. So we're using this kind of dispersed method of managing projects where everybody was kind of on their own, but we had some practices and processes to try to keep things together. I'm sure that probably sounds familiar to a lot of people. So we sat and did this for a very long time, and then one day we got a new governor and a new CIO, and the first thing he did is he did an operational assessment on our entire organization. And that assessment said that the lack of a tool and related processes to track work from an enterprise level at our agency was a major hit to our maturity level and to the maturity of the IT organization as a whole. So let me tell you, if fire was lit very quickly and we were kicked into gear and told to go get a PPM system in place, how could you not have one all these years? You're a project office. We said, I know, right? We've been wanting this. Let's go. So there's our purpose statement. Not going to read it, but basically we had to go get it. And we had to go get it by yesterday or last week. So if you know anything about state government, there are various ways that you are allowed to purchase things, and most of those ways take a lot of time. However, there are some certain procurement vehicles in government that allow you to do things a little bit quicker. So we went to one of those, which is a vendor pool, if you will. And there were 3 major PPM solution providers who were on that particular pool that we were able to purchase off of. So we had a choice of one of those 3, and none of them were Microsoft Project Online at that time. Okay, they were all your top right quadrant type of Gartner, innovator, best type products. So we demoed some, we narrowed it down to 2, and then we said, we're going to pick this one. This one, it can do everything we want it to do. It's going to be beautiful. And yes, it could do everything we wanted to do, but we had some problems with that. As you can see on my bulleted list, the complexity was unfathomable. The support and service was non-existent from that particular company. So we faced facts early and we moved to redirect quickly. I'm showing you this, and this is an actual slide that I showed to my executive team. So the quick version of what happened to put this slide together is that we were having a really hard time with our particular solution. It was not going well. It was going extremely poorly, and it was just about time to take a Christmas break. So a lot of staff went home for Christmas, and I went home and I had a few days off, and I thought to myself, I'm going to go back in January and I'm going to make this thing work, all right? Because what happens, I should tell you this. I'm sorry, a minute. What happens with licensing for Microsoft Project and Microsoft products in general is that there can be a delay between when it's available in the private sector and when it's available in the public sector on the public cloud. So we had not looked at Microsoft Project Online at this time because it was not available, the current version, on our government sector yet. So there are also a few things that we wanted to use from the Microsoft O365 kind of environment that were not also available on the government sector yet. So we were looking elsewhere. Okay, went home, said I'm going to come back, I'm going to make this faulty product work that we had tried to put in that was not Microsoft Project Online. Logged in literally the first day back at work in January, and all this stuff was suddenly available on the government sector. So myself and my team of people who were trying to implement this put this slide together to figure out, should we just cancel, should we fail fast, and should we go to Microsoft Project Online? Because that we could now buy just right off of our government cloud. So the cons, pros, you can see them right there, right? Our old company, we had poor support, we had a steep learning curve, everything was an add-on, it was very complex to administer the system, it was a different technology, it was not a native technology that we had administrators in our organization who are expert in. Turned out that document collaboration was an additional expense. They didn't tell us that up front. And then we said, okay, so what are the cons of Microsoft Project Online? We said, it's another Microsoft product, right? Microsoft products have personalities. Sometimes we love them, and sometimes we tell it, why does it think for us so much? So there's that. Government functionality, always on a delay from general release, and the UI wasn't as slick as this other one that we were working with. But the pros of Microsoft, as you can see, really started to outweigh everything, especially because we are a Microsoft shop, right? We have Office 365. We use all of Microsoft productivity tools. All of our people know how to use Active Directory and how to integrate it into other systems. When we looked at the other system, all of the administration everything was up to our project office. So now when we look at, we are a Microsoft organization, we have all of these skill sets available to us, the administration and support of the system got so much easier. And on top of that, because we have so much Microsoft licensing, the license costs were actually considerably less than what we were looking to pay for the system that was not working out for us. So we said, hey, remember executive team when you said we want to have a fail fast philosophy in state government? Well, let us be the first to fail fast, where we want to cancel this other vendor and we want to go start purchasing and implementing Project Online. And they said, hey, good case, let's go. So that's what we did. What did we learn with number 2? Small fish may get treated as such by big fish implementation partners. It's nice to work with a more personal sized company. It's not just basic system admin, it's user admin, system security, cloud access, integration with other apps. If you have a skill set on site that is knowledgeable in some of these things with a particular technology stack, it's much easier on your PMO to get it implemented. So the best system isn't necessarily the best for you. Just because it's in the upper right stratosphere of somebody's report doesn't mean it's going to be in the upper right stratosphere for your personal usage of the system. So keep that in mind when you're looking at the system. Is it right for you? Is it not just the best? PMs who are Microsoft project Gantt chart nerds do not approve of lesser Gantt charting applications. So what we found is that everybody tells you they integrate with Microsoft project. You can upload your Gantt chart, blah, 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 blah. Okay, if you have people who are hardcore Microsoft project users who could do everything on that system, and I know there's, not tons of them, but if you have those, they will be disappointed not having full-fledged Gantt chart capability. And one thing to point out too is that demand and resource forecasting is a long discipline journey. So we really wanted to get that going right away, and we do have the capability to do it. But there is a lot of integration. If you have billing systems or timekeeping systems, so there's a lot of thoughts about how you may need to integrate with other systems. There's also a huge cultural change if you're not tracking all of that time right away that you're going to need to take on. So demand resource forecasting, the technology is out of the box, but making it work is definitely not out of the box. And if maybe the next speaker will contradict me, and I would love to talk to her more if she says that. All right, so let me tell you about our Project Online implementation, some of the things we learned. So challenge, short time frame to implement. We needed it yesterday, so we dedicated some core team members and freed up their time to focus on it. Can't stress enough how important that was. We would not have allowed PROJILITY to hit their and our deadlines if we did not do that, because it's a lot of work, especially when you get to testing. You need to test, and it takes time. Organizational buy-in, so solution, make sure the person at the top of the food chain wants it. So I told you about that first implementation where we had weak executive support. Night and day experience between having weak executive support and between having the CIO say, go get it. Okay, it lights a fire and it makes the concept stick. Big time. Get that executive support. Challenge, sustaining change. All right, we've been doing this for a little while now. How do we keep it going and not get boring or bored or everybody's sick of it? Well, they could be sick of it, but they're still using it. You need a champion or a few. You need solid in-house Microsoft project skills as well. So 2 big things. I'm like the PWA cheerleader. I'm out there getting people to use it, to keep using it, to use it right, making sure there's training, making sure that everybody's got their Microsoft project skills. And let me tell you, we have a couple people who are real Microsoft project pros on my team. Invaluable. If you don't have one, get one if you can, or start the training program. Challenge, transitioning to new normal. Solution, building new processes around the system. Training. I think I've said training a few times already. It's ongoing. Keep training how to use the system, even with your project managers who are experienced, because getting the data in there how you want it, so it gets viewed the right way and does all your calculations for, say, variance, for example, correctly, It takes training and it takes work and it takes that cheerleader or a team of cheerleaders to continually monitor the system to make sure that that information is entered correctly and providing value. So another challenge, advancing the system. What do we do next? So good data in returns great dashboards or great reports, and that is the value. So to keep advancing the system, you need that, and you need to keep adapting and interfacing to other systems as your organization grows and changes. And we're in the midst of some of that stuff now. And in order to do that, you got to keep your project office and that tool in the conversation. So let me show you some value. I've got screenshots of some dashboards, and I absolutely love these dashboards, and people are probably on my team sick of hearing about these, but these are great. These did not exist prior to having this Project Web App, Project Online system. So this is a general portfolio view of all the work that's in our system. You can see the projects, you can see the costs, you can see the variance. You know, we're $31 million. Good, hey, go government. You can see everything. And one thing that you could also see is on the top right, you can see that there's something that says blank, and there's a bar that has 6 in it. I can see that 6 projects do not have the appropriate data in them, so I can click on that and it will filter my screen and I can go talk to those project managers. Yes, evil boss. All right. So here's another page, right? I can see all my projects, how they stack up against each other when they're going on. I can see when they end. Well, not just me. Everybody can see where they end. I can see their variance based on their color. And what I've done here, if you look up kind of top right again, you see state. I've changed it to in flight. So now it's not everything in the system, it's just the things that are currently being worked on. So all those menus across the top, you change them and you can filter your data. Okay, here, another page, enterprise portfolio, top middle. I've narrowed my portfolio down to health, so I could see the Department of Health basically here and all the work that they've got going on currently that my team is working on. And you can see their budget, their variance, estimates of completion, all this great stuff. Now it's great stuff only if you're continually training, you're continually monitoring, and you're making sure that everyone on your team, all your project managers are entering the data in the same fashion and getting it in there in a quality manner so you can get that quality data out. This doesn't happen on day 2. This happens 6 months later, and it takes work to keep it up. More value. Okay, sponsoring agency on the top towards the left. I've filtered it now. This is another page. I can see all the milestones across the portfolio. I filtered it by human services. You guys seeing some value? This is great stuff. I love this. Another page in our portfolio, risks and issues. This is risk. The next page is going to be issues. I can see all the risks in the entire portfolio. And again, we could play the where's the blank category game. I could find people who aren't entering the risks. I could also see based on the category, what are our biggest risks? Looks like scope's a problem, something we got to work on. Maybe we can do some continuous improvement later on someday about getting a better handle on some scope. Issues, all the issues across the portfolio, or I can narrow them down just like on any other page by the agency that is sponsoring it. You know, by the core pillar, is it an efficiency, alignment, delivery? That's a custom field that we put in there, for example, such as a sponsoring agency. So very easy to set those custom fields up with your implementation partner. It's very easy to maintain them if you have any experience setting up or designing SharePoint sites. It's just as easy as that. I can make all edits to these myself, to the custom fields, to the Power BI stuff, and when anything gets too difficult, I can throw in a ticket to PROJILITY and they can help me out. Very easy, very fast to change. In fact, we had a little thing, I don't know if you heard it, but there's a pandemic. Governments got CARES Act funding last year. Enormous amounts of funding with a lot of tight deadlines on them. I was able to spin up in just a few hours a CARES Act funded project portfolio dashboard. So that could be viewed by the executive team. It didn't take, 3 weeks. It took a matter of a couple of hours to put some custom fields together and to spin up a brand new dashboard all on my own. So there you go, some more value. I love this stuff. I'm sorry, I'm going to keep going. Here's a project. So we have a project version of the dashboard too. So I can go pick a project, statewide parcel data set. we use this in our steering committee meetings. This is what we show. We don't hand out paper anymore. Everything's electronic. Where we screen grab the dashboard and put it in a slide, or we pull up the dashboard and we talk through it. I can see here, this guy's got his 27 days ahead, his schedule variance is good, his cost variance is good. I can see all his key milestones, his work, right? The costs, how they stack up over time. I can click a link and I can go to the actual system behind the scenes. I can see a little bit more detail on the next page, and I can see even more detail about project issues and risks combined now on this one page in the status report. And oh, he's got a blank there under issues by category. I'm gonna have to go talk to him after this and see what's up. See how easy it is? I know, right away. Got to go talk about something. And I can do it not just on this project, but every single one of those 124, 128 projects that are in here. Very simple. Now, when I corrected myself earlier and I said not just me, but everybody, literally everybody. So, our organization has Power BI licenses for the entire organization, the entire enterprise. So what I can do is I have set up a PMO project reporting team site, because everybody also, we're all in with Microsoft in our organization. So we have teams. We can embed all of the reports into this one PMO project reporting team site. And therefore, we can get anyone access to it in just a couple seconds. So right now, about 500 people have access to all of our reports. So any executive from anywhere throughout the organization, anyone who's working on any project throughout the entire organization can go in at any time to this team, click on a tab across the top, and see what's going down with any project they want to see. So that, for example, this one right here looks a little different. It is an example of our legislative report. So another fun thing is you can publish certain reports if you choose to do so publicly. So this is one of our public reports that fall under our legislative reporting process, targeted just to those items. How do we get it to show up there? Well, we just created a custom field that's a checkbox that says, is legislative reporting needed? If it is, you check the box, good to go, it shows up on this report. So value, continuing on a little bit, I'm getting close to my time, I'm almost done. Current status on all projects is always available, everywhere. I know one place to go, I could see everything. Anyone can see anything. Visibility into project load and project throughput, we got that, we didn't have that before. Data-driven system means I know which PM is doing which PM stuff. Like I said, you see no risks are logged on this project. You can go say, why aren't the risks logged? You should do your risk assessment. More project information available to more people, including the public, through our legislative dashboards. No more copy paste, no more PDFs. Project management and project reporting process is 100% electronic. So that's something we chose to do. We wanted to get rid of our copy and paste from a spreadsheet, from Microsoft project file, from a status report document to another status report document to another status report document, depending on who we're giving status to. We did away with that, and we said, if you want to know what's going on, look at the dashboard. It was a learning curve. It was a cultural change, but a year after, or a couple years, I forget what year is this. Last year went by so quick. It's a culture change, and people are on board with it now. So we have zero paper, and in fact, it was in the nick of time, because we're all working in a telework environment, and we plan to keep working telework going into the future. All right, our system is scalable. Any group in the organization can join the fun. So if someone, a project manager at another agency, wants to use our system, we can give them a license in short time, and they're good to go. And as soon as they enter some data, they can show up in any of our reports. Or we can spin off another one custom for them. Although we don't want to do that, because that's just more maintenance. All right, and all foundational elements are in place for future resource forecasting. So when we got our implementation, we got all the stuff you need to do resource forecasting. You also got all the stuff you need to do for portfolio balancing. So I'm going to say those are kind of maybe graduate or PhD level activities in a project management office. We're not doing those yet, but we have the technology that will allow us to do it as soon as we reach that level of maturity. So our path forward, we've got some ServiceNow being rolled out. We've got some Azure DevOps. So we're looking at how to integrate our project web app with those two different systems. So depending on where in our kind of work throughput the work is, we could have visibility on that, and the right thing is managed in the right place at the right time. So we hope to do that, as well as get to portfolio balancing, as well as get to resource forecasting in the future, because we think now we've got just the general project management stuff pretty locked down. We're also looking to hire a project web app system owner or a lead scheduler. I think a lot of organizations, probably the best practice or what's most common is people do this on their own in their project office, and that's what we do. So we have 5 people who give a portion of their time in our project office to help administer and maintain and train on the system. What I found is I really want to have someone who's going to own that and make that a specific, unique position. Probably couldn't justify it, a year and a half ago, but right now I can. I'm working through the HR system to hopefully get that. And I think it'll be an incredible benefit to what we can do to expand the usage across other departments, okay, and to make sure that all the data is really the best that it can be. So summarize, and I'm done. Immediately realized a reduction in process waste. Immediately, we increased available data on projects. Immediately, we made all PMO project work highly visible, front and center. Immediately, we aligned, enforced, and solidified the scheduling technique and technical PM processes at our organization because we absolutely had to, or we were going to drown. Okay, the tool makes it so you have to do that. So start thinking about it. Long-term goals, benefits, predictive resource planning, picking the right projects, and reducing churn and duplication. And that's it for me. Thank you for listening. And yeah, go out there and be legendary.